Thank you to Sakuraco and TokyoTreat for sponsoring today's video. Hey guys, and welcome back to another video. So for today's video, I'm still doing kind of like con preparations, kind of slowly and quickly at the same time. I have one that's like literally at the end of this weekend, and then I have one in May. So like I have stuff that I need to prep like for the more sooner kind of like market convention, and then I have one that's going to be a little bit later so I can kind of pace myself. But I realized I did not make any new like sets of stickers. I've been mostly doing like individual ones, so I thought it'd be fun to take you guys along with me, as well as I'll be showing you how I kind of like put some pre-existing characters into my own chibi style, if that's something maybe you're interested in. I like drawing chibis a lot when it comes to like stickers. They're a little bit more fun to pose, as well as like the colors tend to be a little bit vibrant and like the details are a little bit more simplified in my opinion. So we are going to be doing one that's like very specifically themed. Because I'm doing a set of stickers, I am going to be basing it off of one series, which means that I like to draw multiple characters. So this time I am going to be drawing 6 characters. So we are going to be starting off in Procreate and doing the sketching. So I have this little template, as I like to keep my chibis nowadays more or less towards like a 2-head tall proportioning. So if you're unfamiliar with this, the best way I can describe it is that, let's say your head for your chibi is kind of like this. So this is kind of like their head. For the rest of their body, it will be contained all into this one circle. And technically that would be like a 2-head tall chibi. So let's say we put their neck. We can put in their kind of like torso, and then you can throw in, let me give them a little bit larger of a torso so that we can put their legs in here. You can put their hands however you like, but it's kind of like within this proportioning. I might even shrink that even a little bit more because the neck seems a little bit long. So I actually have an example that I can quickly show you, because I believe I did a video about this. Oh no, it would be in my star rail. Yeah, so I think this is probably the easiest way to describe it. So this is kind of more like a 2-headed tall chibi. So it's like 1, 2. This is 2.5 heads, so 1, 2, and a little bit more, and then here's like 3. But let's talk about the series that we're going to be drawing. So I wanted to draw SK8 the Infinity chibis for a long time, ever since I watched the series a couple of years ago, but I've never gotten around to it. Sometimes I use like references on my phone. Other times I used to use is something called VizRef. So let me open it up real quick. I'm gonna make a new board. I'll have full access, and I'm gonna pop in the photos that I've saved of the skate characters. So we have Longa, we have Joe, we have Reki, we have Mia, we have Adam, and we have Cherry. So this is kind of the outfits that I'm probably going to be going for, but because of how they're posed, I am probably going to have to find like supplementary references on my phone a little bit later. But for now, let's go ahead and get started with the actual sketching portion. Okay, so let's figure out how we want to do the pose. So I'm going to start off with a circle for the head first, because that's going to be like a proportion that's not going to really change. So I could lift the boards upwards. So oftentimes when I draw like chibi bodies, I almost do like a weird gumdrop shape almost. And then find where our center line is. And then if I need them to have like hips, or I want to separate the torso a little bit more, I often kind of split it like this. So this is where their shoulders would be. And this is where the start of their like pelvic area would be, just to kind of keep everything nice and tiny. We'll have wheels. So I might fiddle with their arms, but I think for the base pose, we'll go something like this. So I will apologize that my chibi sketching tends to be very rough, which means that I end up trying to figure things out more when it comes to like doing the line art. Even though like on 2 separate conventions over the last 2 years, I think, or 3, I think. 3 conventions in the last 2 years, I think, is where I Had people specifically asking if I had skate merch, and they were like wink wink, nudge nudge. Kind of button-up shirt. Basically it looks like his school uniform plus like jeans and a sneaker kind of look. So other than this, I do want to think a little bit about making little, I don't know what they're called, packaging little things for sticker sets, because I think I didn't make that many last year that I didn't really design any little like headers, I guess, for them. So this is kind of like the struggle I have sometimes, is my sketch will look so off until I get to the actual line art part. Gonna do longas like this, I guess. I think Adam has like a strange shaped board. So sketching hopefully will go by fairly quickly. But I think I've shown the different style that I've used for my Chibis, because I've done, I think, a few videos of me doing ones of my OCs. Sharper eyes. Slightly droopy eyes. Maybe we'll do like this. He's a little flirty-ish, kind of. If I make him do this, I feel like he's this type. So I might turn his head a little bit. Face us a little bit more. I guess this is what Mia's gonna look like. This front and back is kind of... oh, they point upwards. Jeez. Not gonna lie, if you see like normal Adam, does he even have this much hair? I hope I can make this look a little bit cuter. He's so dorky looking. Also finished. So let's do a quick overview of the sketches. We have Longa and Reki. We have Cherry and Joe. And then we have Mia and Adam. So I'm gonna switch over to Clip Studio Paint so that we can work on the line art really quickly and then do the coloring, and I'll show you guys kind of like the full set. I don't think I'm gonna show you guys the printed out versions of them because I'm gonna experiment with the size a little bit and maybe the packaging. But we'll see how these kind of look like in my little simplified cheapy style. So on to Clip Studio Paint. Since we are done with the sketching, let's take a little break with TokyoTreat and Sakuraco. TokyoTreat is a fun and exclusive Japanese snack box featuring unique and exclusive flavors straight from Japan. Each box is filled with a variety of full-size Japanese snack items like limited edition Kit Kats, unique flavored Japanese chips, and occasional Japanese sodas that are only available in Japan for a limited time. Since it is March, we are right in time for the Hanami season in Japan. The pink box really fits the Sakura theme, and there are a lot of strawberry and Sakura themed snacks in this box this time around. While Sakuraco is a monthly Japanese artisan snack box that supports local Japanese snack makers, each box comes with 20 traditional, authentic, and artisan Japanese snacks, including Japanese teas and a special Japanese tableware. The Sakuraco box has a lot more traditional flavored snacks, which fits my taste palette a little bit more. The design of the box is also fit around the Hanami season, so this box is filled with Sakura-themed flavored snacks, and the box includes this really beautiful Sakura sake glass. It's kind of nice and tall with a beautiful floral Sakura design near the base. Both boxes come with a 24-page cultural guide, and I love that it includes information regarding ingredients and allergens of each of the snacks. But also it informs you little tidbits of information revolving the culture and traditions in Japan, so you can learn more about what the Hanami season is and why it is celebrated in Japan with the little blurbs that are included in the booklet. Each month has a different theme, meaning that you get to try out a whole new selection of new treats and snacks every month. For example, TokyoTreat's box theme for the month of March is Cherry Blossom Bites, which is a very cute title, while Sakuraco's box for the month of March is The Seasons of Sakura. So it is time for us to try some tea. Even though I've tried this tea before, it has to be one of the prettiest teas out there. I love the fact that the sakura blossoms bloom when it is kind of like in contact with the hot boiling water, and it has like this subtle sweet floral flavor, which I really enjoy. So while I was kind of letting the tea steep a little bit, let me show you guys some of my favorites from the boxes. So I did try the Kit Kat, as I love strawberry flavored snacks like this, but also the sour plum salt crackers were really nice, as they only kind of have like a very subtle hint of that ume sour flavor, and they're very similar or like reminiscent of like normal shrimp chips, which I really enjoy. Then for Sakuraco, I really enjoyed the Sakura Daifuku. So these ones are really nice and sweet in flavor with the nice white bean paste in the center. So if you would like to get a box for yourself or want to get these as a lovely gift to your family or friends, then do check out the links in the description. Thank you again to Sakuraco and TokyoTreat for sponsoring today's video. Now back to the skate Chibis. Okay, so we're in Clip Studio Paint right now. These are actually all of my Genshin ones, so you can kind of see the sketch file alongside with the Clip Studio Paint file. So I'm going to resave these as Clip Studio Paint files so that we can arrange our folders as such. I'll take a screenshot of what my folder is going to look like on the side so you can kind of see it, because I don't want to change the camera angle right now. But this is kind of how I do my chibis. I do 2 per canvas, and then I will crop and then save them individually afterwards, because I'll be popping them into Silhouette Studio anyways, so I need to have them all separate. Faded version of my sketch. I will also make a gray layer to put underneath my sketch so I can see everything properly. Then for my folders, I make 1 folder, 2 new layers, and then 2 new folders. And this will make sense a little bit later. I'll show you, like I said, I'll show you a screenshot, but basically the bottom one will be the black border around the chibis to give everything a nice thick outline. The one above that will be our base, which I will fill the entire chibi with. The folder above that will be my colors that will be clipped to my flats, and then this folder inside. So this top folder that's inside this main folder will be for just my line art. And then for this entirety of this folder, I like to change the color to represent the character. So in this case, Longa is blue. I'm gonna copy and paste it and make the other one red. So we can actually start doing the line art. For line art, I like to use the Milli pen size 15. This is an 8 by 6 inch canvas with 300 DPI, or I guess in this case it says it's 72 DPI. Use whatever is comfortable for you, but I like using a size 15 for majority of my line work. Any smaller details, I can use size 10 or size 12. So I'm actually dragging and dropping photos into Pure Ref. So throw in some references. So we have Longa. I guess the top of his board is black. I'm gonna throw this one for fun. I'm gonna lock it so that I can just pan around and kind of zoom in. This is what I like about Pure Ref so much. You can zoom in, zoom out. You can have like so many images on one board. If I show you my Niji Sanji one, or like my Genshin one, it'll look very insane. Yeah, let's look at this one. I'm also gonna open up this file. So I have a little PNG of a star that I made, and I like to use these for like chibi highlights in their hair. I think it just looks like a cute detail from afar to have the highlights to be either like a heart or a star. Let's get started. For the most part, I do all the line art on 1 layer minus the eyes. I think that's about it, and that's all that's going to be in this line art folder. And for myself, I do fill the eyes in completely black. Make this one a little wider. I do follow my sketch to a certain degree, but like I mentioned when I was doing my sketches on the iPad, I tend to make up a lot of the details and stuff when I'm doing the line art rather than during the sketch, so I kind of have to pay attention a little bit more. Am I setting myself up a little bit to have a harder time when doing line art? Absolutely, but it makes sketching go a lot faster. I think this is like the third or fourth time I've drawn longa. So oftentimes I'm looking at my navigator just to make sure that things don't look too off. Okay, like his hair a little bit more now. So outfit wise, I didn't really look it up whether or not it's like more like a turtleneck. Longa Hasegawa. Yeah, it's kind of like a turtleneck. Also, I have my stabilizer set to 100. It's just faster for me to work this way. Even though I think some people might think working at 100 is like low-key psychotic. Ooh, maybe I should draw other skateboards first. Maybe I'll put that on a separate layer. Let's erase some of these. Okay, I think we're gonna leave our wheels and our skateboard like this, even though it's a little wonky. It's not the worst, I guess. So I'm gonna keep that on a separate layer so we can use that for Ricky as well as anyone else who has like a similar shaped board. Got the shoes in, so he has kind of like jeans. Finish off his smile. These parts of the eyes. And this is kind of what longa is gonna look like. So I always get questions about this. So because my line art is in one folder, I'm going to select the entirety of my line art like this. I'm going to expand my pixels by 10. I'm gonna go back to that first layer that I showed you earlier. So we're gonna go back down to that first layer. I'm gonna fill it in with black. So you can kind of see that the thickness of my outline is quite thick right now. Some people had like a workaround, but this works with my method more so than just expanding the line art via the, what is this called? The border effect, because I don't want the border effect to be directly on my lines per se. I need this one to be like significantly lower on my layer order. I'm also gonna have my selection fill to be referencing that layer as well. And then we're gonna go to the layer that's above this black outline. I'm gonna circle the entirety of longa and it's gonna fill in the space. So if you can kind of see that because this blue layer, this kind of like blue color is on top of my black outline, any of the outlines that are on the inside will be covered by the blue because that's where I'm filling in color. But everywhere outside of my fill is going to still have the black thick outline. So that's kind of how I get the black outline only on the outside lines, and then everyone on the inside lines kind of has like an untouched look. But we can go ahead and clear out some of these areas. Then we will go and I will follow kind of my colors that I have here. And we'll make new layers only in the clipped layered folder when coloring in longa so that I don't have to worry about having any of the colors exceed out of this kind of grayish area. So anywhere that has a skin tone, let's color it in. I'm gonna alpha lock it and start to shade. So I'm gonna alpha lock my lines as well so that I can color just the line art. Coloring outside these line art lines if I want to kind of like adjust colors. Now there's only like a select few places that I actually change the color. regardless of like what color is surrounding it. Then after that, it's just the eyes. So Lanka has pretty blue eyes. So I'll fill in a dark color. Okay, so back to this. So I basically do the same patterning for all of my chibis so that they have the same amount of consistency throughout all of them. So for the hair, for his hair, I like to fill it all in with the flat color. We're gonna alpha lock it. I like to choose one shadow color. Kind of go over in like a circular motion around the crown-ish area. Any other area we can just fill in. And then I will add highlights. So like I said, for the highlights, I do like adding the star pattern somewhere on here if it has a room. Simple highlights. And then the thing I like to do for the hair oftentimes is that we'll go back to the line art layer and I will color in any of the details that are not touching kind of this shadow color and change it to be the same color so that it appears a little bit softer. Board is black. Sneakers are white and purple. You can't really see, so I'm just gonna make them white. Okay, so new layer, set it to multiply, and simple shading for all of this. Most likely make the bottom portion of the board to be dark. I'm probably gonna put one wheel in shadow. So you can kind of see that these chibis don't have like too much detail. Just because I feel like they read a little bit better when they're small. And like the printer that I'm using is not like the high quality printer for these ones typically. Makes things a little bit softer. It's like not really like a harsh highlight in my opinion. And that's kind of what manga looks like. Sometimes I do change the line art colors in the middle to be a little bit softer. This usually depends on the character designs. For Genshin, it's a nightmare. There's too many details that I would have to pay attention to on such a small scale that I don't think it really matters. For these simple ones, it's kind of nice to have them be a little bit more appropriately colored for some of these inside details. Yeah, there's kind of Longa. I'll do Reki really quickly and then I'll do the rest of them probably in time lapse. So let's quickly work on him. So past me thought that I was gonna leave Reki's kind of footage more towards like the real-time footage spliced up, but I ended up doing it more in the time lapse kind of mode, similar to the rest of the chibis that we'll be doing, because it was a little bit easier for me to squeeze in the full process. So right now you're seeing footage of me working on my tablet, just like in this kind of view. Later on, I will have kind of like an overview of Clip Studio Paint, showing you guys like the tools alongside the layers, all available on the screen if you're ever interested in my setup or layout. But we'll be kind of like switching to that kind of mode when we go into the last 4 chibis, starting with Cherry. But for Reiki, I ended up doing as much as I could for his skateboard design. I forgot how intricate the design for his board is, so it kind of threw me in a loop for a little bit, but I decided to simplify it so that it's not too busy, and a lot of the details that you could see would not be really visible when it's on like a super small scale. So we're on the last remaining 4 characters. So for Cherry and Joe, you kind of see I'm going to flip back and forth and start working on Cherry's line art. Then I switch back to doing Joe's line art. So whenever I did like the Genshin or the Honkai Star Rail chibis, because I have them placed on like 2 chibis per canvas, it was easier for me to actually do the line art for one character, then move on to line art for the next character, so I don't have to switch tools as frequently. And then I'll start coloring the person on the right hand side and then move back to the left hand side, so I can kind of keep the flow going from, I guess, like preventing myself to jump back and forth between the 2 characters. So once we finished Joe, I ended up moving on to Cherry's colors, and for the most part, I think their coloring is pretty straightforward. I feel like Joe's one hand does look a little funny, but when it's kind of like shrunk down, I don't really mind if they're a little bit more on the derpier side. So with Cherry and Joe done, we're moving on with Mia and Adam. So I think out of all of them, Mia's probably my favorite just because his turned out the cutest, probably. I also really like his colors because whenever I do chibis, I do lean towards more saturated colors just because I feel like they are just more cuter in that sense. Maybe it's also because they read nicer when they are kind of like flat colors. Sometimes I gravitate towards like more... Actually, yeah, I don't really do too many dark colors if I can help it. My printer does print things slightly darker, and when it becomes like a certain value that's like very close to black, when it gets printed out, it pretty much gets printed out as a flat black, so it's very hard to see certain colors. So oftentimes if characters have like dark gray or black hair, I will knock up the value to a certain level so that they can still be distinguishable from the line art. Oh, I also included very small bits of me working on like little designs for the headers for this particular set that I will eventually staple to kind of like the plastic packaging. But I think for the most part, I ended up working with this design, and this is kind of what all the chibis ended up looking like before we started to format them in kind of Silhouette Studio. So I know this video wasn't really meant for me to show you guys what I do for like the sticker making per se. I think I have a few videos on that anyway. But with that being said, I thought it'd be a little bit fun to show you guys kind of the formatting for some of these, because I wanted to show you the end result when I ended up printing them out and them having kind of like their hollow kind of finish on top of them. So for the layout, I try my best to kind of like Tetris them in. So trying to get them as close as possible to each other so I can fit as many as I can onto one sheet of paper. There's like a red line box around everything that is kind of like preventing you where the cutting machine's not going to be able to cut. But with them kind of like all formatted, I went ahead and printed them off, and once they were printed, I applied a hollow film on top of them and we started to cut them. So while my cutting machine was ending up kind of like doing the cutting for me, I went ahead and used my paper trimmer, and it has a little knob, the blue one that I'm sliding back and forth, that basically scores the page instead of cutting it. So I used that to help me create a little scored line on the little headers for our sticker sets. So this is kind of what the stickers ended up looking like. So there's Mia, here's Ricky. The lighting's not doing them really justice. They kind of look a little faded, but that's all right. We'll just stick them into one of these pouches so I can show you guys kind of what the layout will look like. So I went ahead and sealed them fairly close to the top of the other edge. So with the little header on top, I want to make sure that all the chibis are still like somewhat visible for the most part, so they are like inserted sideways, and then I will have that kind of header at the very top, and we can staple it to the bag if we wanted to. So this is kind of what they will look like. I'll definitely make some in the future for some of my other sticker sets so that they are more recognizable. But hopefully you guys enjoyed watching today's little process of me drawing the chibis, and I'll talk to you guys next time in the next video. Bye!